Well, joining us right now is head men's and women's wrestling coach Pete Hansen. Pete, thanks for joining us.
Hey, not a problem. It's good to be here.
Well, Pete, one of the things we want to do in these conversations is give people a little bit of a look behind the scenes. And I think that your story is really interesting to me because I was actually on the search committee for the new men's and women's wrestling coach. And if I remember right, when I was starting the interviews, your name was not one that was on our list to be interviewed. So, kind of tell us a little bit about how that sort of all happened.
All right, this is a really good story. So, I think the job was posted in December sometime, right before Christmas was gonna hit, and I saw it posted. And I knew we were gonna do it, and me and my wife we talked about it. We were like, "Hey, should I try for it?" Because I mean, I was an All-American in college when I wrestled, and it's something that I always help out with wherever I am. My little boy was wrestling when we were in North Carolina, and I was like, "Yeah, but I've invested so much time into football right now. For the last 8 years, that's what I have done. And did I want to switch over?" And we thought about it, prayed about it, and at that time, Christmas, we were moving closer to the school, and so at that time, I'm like, you know what? Let's just not worry about it. January comes, we're coming back to school, all the students are here, and we're sitting in the cafeteria, and a student walks up to me, and hopefully he'll be with us this fall, and he goes, "You know what? I would stay here and wrestle if you were the head wrestling coach." And I was just like, "Why would you say that?" And then I had another kid say it to me, just out of the blue, like no prompting, whatever. And I was like, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna go find out." So came home that night, talked to Sarah, and she says, "Well, the most you can do is go ask." So I go in, I walk into Ann's office, and I go, "Hey, I know you've done the interviews, but have you guys offered the job to anybody?" She says, "Well, actually, I'm working on it right now. Why? Are you interested?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I am interested." And she was like, "Oh, well, that changes things." And she says, "Well, let me go over some things, and I'll get back with you." And about lunchtime that day, she said, "Hey, can you do an interview tomorrow at 9 a.m.?" I was like, "Okay, yes, I can do it. This is something I want to do. Let's do it."
We were ready to offer that job to someone. We were in the process of evaluating our candidates, and I can remember getting that email saying, "Hey, we've got one more." And when we saw your name, we were excited because there's value to having a coach come on staff that understands our culture.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Emory is such a special place too. So, walking into that room, and I really, to be honest, I was not expecting as many people to be there as were there. I was obviously expecting Ann and maybe someone from HR and the athletic training staff or something like that. But then when there was like 10 people in the room, I was like, "Oh wow, this is real. Okay, I've done this before." And and just went in there and just really just told you who I am, because really my best policy is just, hey, if you tell them up front how you are and what's going to be expected, they can't be mad at you if it's not something they weren't. You know, that's how it is. Yeah, I already told you how I was, but who I am and how I'm going to handle things. So when it happens, you're not surprised. So no, it was kind of funny because as we were going throughout that week, I kind of, because I knew you guys were already getting ready to offer, and I had heard rumors that maybe the rumor mill goes around. Hey, you're supposed to have an answer by Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And I was like, didn't hear anything. And I was like, all right, not a big deal. They decided to offer to the other guy. I'm okay with that. I shot my shot. That's okay. I'm good with that. And then on Monday or Sunday night, Ann texted me and said, "Hey, can you come into my office and talk to me this morning about it?" And I was like, "Hey, this is the time where she says, hey, we offered it to somebody else. You're good with that. Just keep fighting on, doing football." And then when she said, "Hey, the job's yours if you want it," I had to almost like conceal my excitement because I was like, I don't want to sound too excited, but I was, and I think she could sense that I'm really excited about wrestling, and especially at Emory. And I think the things that we can do there, I think it's just phenomenal, and the things that have taken place since then. I mean, being able to get our facilities going, get mats here, and just the support even during these tough times from the university is amazing.
Well, how are things coming with the construction? For those though that don't know, wrestling is going to be housed out of Martin Brock. That's where We're going to be having our practices now. Of course, we'll compete in the King Center. But how is the construction and the building out of the process going?
So going really well. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a walkthrough. So on the second floor is where the men's area is going to be built, and they're going to do some little rearranging down there. But we're going to have a little storage room, men's locker room, about 30 lockers or so. And then on the third floor, the women's locker room will be up there. And then also the coach's office is off to the side up there onto the other side. So the walkthrough went really, really great. It should be off going good. Hopefully we have an update on that here in a few weeks. It'd be awesome to see. But I mean, and then the mats came in. We're going to get them rolled out. And it's going to be a really, really cool thing to experience.
It's got to be like it's feeling real right now. I mean, it's like, we're starting to get, all these things coming in. It's got to be a pretty exciting feeling for you.
It is really super exciting because, especially during the time, you kind of like, I almost expected just to say, hey, we're going to just be having mats and we got to go shower in our dorms back and forth, just because of how the world is right now. But for the school to still put that much value into our student athletes and know what is, that high standard that Emory set for us, they're keeping up to that. And I really, really appreciate that. And I want to let our student athletes know that, hey, the school's got your back.
So. Well, college recruiting is not new to you, Pete. Of course, you did a lot of work with the football team here at Emory and Henry. When you look at wrestling, and you look at wrestling specifically in the area that we're located, how much of a hotbed is wrestling, and how good of a match is wrestling for Emory and Henry?
So it is, really kind of huge. A lot of the schools around here, we've got a lot of areas. A lot of the head coaches run their own clubs around the area out of the high schools. You've got so much going on that people were going everywhere else out of state that we finally have a place to come in state. And literally you can call it the I-81 corridor rivalry, whatever. We're going to have, with Roanoke starting, Ferrum already going, and all those schools up there going up to Shenandoah and all of that, you're going to have a lot of schools right here where, we're going to be able to compete really, really well. I just don't think it's just going to be, hey, it's going to be 2-3 years down the road. I think our first year, we're going to surprise some people, and they're going to go, how did you do that? And it's because of the pull Emory has and of the alumni base that we have here already. It's really, really kind of unique. Wrestling's been pretty decent through this whole area for a long time, and finally for a school to be right here, I think it's amazing. And all the local coaches are willing to help out, already recruiting a couple kids from John Battle and all that, trying to get some of those local kids here. I think will make a huge difference. Also from Abingdon, Coach Scott's been amazing trying to help me out getting some kids, and just great area here.
Now, you were in the job for just a couple of months, and then of course the pandemic hits. We're off campus. We finished the semester online. Talk to me a little bit about, you're starting a new program, so you're building from the ground up. How do you do that in a pandemic?
This is really, really hard because Virginia is huge for wrestling. A couple of reasons why is we have, after their state tournament, which is normally the typical end to wrestling for most kids, right? In Virginia, we have a tournament also called Super States. So kids that were placed in state go to this other tournament, and you can go recruit at this tournament, which is huge for us. And then after that, there's also, which is very unique to Virginia Beach, is nationals for high school. So there's another tournament we get to go to that normally is, now we can't go to it. Normally it's there all the time. So we could be able to recruit nationally at that tournament, and now we can't. So it's really, really kind of impacted that. And especially for girls wrestling, which a lot of that takes place in the summertime because they wrestle freestyle. So there's a lot of extra freestyle tournaments during the summer. And here, there's a thing that's really, really kind of unique to wrestling, is because it is an Olympic sport, you have a lot of open tournaments that are past our season date. So it'll go from, hey, Emory and Henry wrestling, to club wrestling, to where guys are training Greco, freestyle, trying to see if they want to go to the Olympics or try to get to the Olympic trials by placing in so many tournaments and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things going on that used to go on that aren't happening now. So we can't go recruit, like girls wrestling. There's a tournament in Fargo that is huge for high school seniors to get recruited at, no longer going on. So really the pandemic has really hurt women's wrestling. even though they're really making huge pushes in states to become sanctioned sports. And that's really helped out a lot.
So I'm guessing this is where a lot of your contacts and just past relationships that you have with folks is how you're getting your name out there and how you're getting introduced to potential student athletes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I have a cousin. He's quite a bit older than me, but most of my cousins have kids that are older than my age. But he's a coach in California in the Clovis area at Buchanan High School, which in California they're like top 3 in the state almost every year. They put out D1 kids left and right, but they also have a huge women's wrestling program. So I'm gonna try and reach out to that area. But also I reached out to King University or King College and talked to one of their women's coaches that she wrestled there and now is, wrestling for the USA team, or was at one point, but she does a lot for Wrestle Like a Girl. And, she's helping me get stuff out there, and that's kind of nice being able to, rely on the community to help us get us out there to understand where we're going.
Yeah. And women's wrestling is one of those things, as I understand it, that's, still growing, but it's actually a really competitive time right now, especially for colleges like Emory and Henry, because there's becoming more and more options out there for women.
I want to say in the last 2 months, maybe even last month, there was like 10 programs introduced for women's wrestling. So where before it was, hey, there's plenty of girls out there to go to get right now that there's not. And so, because they're all being picked up by schools that are close by them now, where before you used to be able to go get people from wherever you wanted and bring them in. And now they're just being able to stay close to home. So really it comes down to the state of Virginia now picking up its game a little bit with high school for women's wrestling. I know Chilhowie has a couple girls, and I spoke to them at their one of their state tournaments a couple months back before things got shut down. And so, but they were all underclassmen. So trying to find some of those seniors right now wanting a place to go.
And I guess at this point, the one thing I wonder is, you've had some success already, though. I mean, I was, when we were in the office, full disclosure, Pete's office is right next door to mine. I feel like I was seeing kids come in and out all the time, and there's been a lot of excitement. And I remember the last time we chatted that you've got a pretty good list of names already that are excited about hitting the mat this fall.
Yeah. I know our goal is to bring in 10 kids from the outside. We're going to be close, and I think we'll probably be a little over, but, with the whole pandemic and not being able to go visit and stuff like that's kind of slowed things down. Just trying to do a lot of virtual things, and we got a lot more to come with that. But I think we're going to do really good. But with kids coming that are from Emory already, we got a lot of kids that are going to be really, really good that are already here with us. Already been to a school, a year of school at Emory, and I think that's going to help us out in the long run. Is we have that class that's already here that nobody knows about.
Yeah. What's going to be kind of your style of coaching, Pete? I'm just wondering what kind of culture you're kind of looking to build with your team, because I know coming over from the football team, culture was a big thing over there. I'm just wondering what your plans are with the wrestling team.
If you watch my Virginia wrestling interview with Brian Hazard, I have this little title that I'm bringing out this year, and it's called Dream Big. And the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of times a lot of us sell ourselves short, and that we don't feel like we can reach out there and get something that we want. And I think that as we teach our kids to do that, and then teach them the steps to get there, build that work ethic, they'll realize that they don't have to settle, that they can, if they do these steps, they work hard, they come to practice every day, they put in the work, they'll be rewarded for that work. And it may not be rewarded right then, but if they trust the process, a year, 2 years down the road, hey, they get their diploma and they leave Emory and they realize what we did for them. I think that's going to be the most important part. I really wins and losses right now is just a side effect of what the work we're putting in, if we trust that process. Maybe a little sneak peek on what I'm planning for this next year. I have what we call practice standards, and we're going to try and use the blue collar gold standard in that Emory so embodies in itself, as we go out as a team and we want to be blue collar when we work, right? And we want to be there and putting in as much work as we possibly can to achieve our goals. But to realize that, once we get there, we can't stop. So we got to be the gold standard, and back in the day, gold standard used to be, that's how we valued our money system. Now that just employs the level that you are at, such a high standard, that is set, and that's what everybody looks to achieve. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to employ that into our practices and our practice gear eventually, to see, hey, we start off, you're a blue collar wrestler, and then, hey, once you meet that standard, hey, you're going to be rewarded with, some gold practice gear. And, but you've got to be, proved by the coaches to make that happen. And once you become part of that group, so-called committee, that gold standard committee, that whole committee has to agree on the next person that gets to join that group. And if it's not unanimous, then you don't get to join that group of being gold standard. And I think that giving those kids something to achieve, to reach out and try and grab, they got to dream big. And it all lands back on me. I got to lead them. So, that's part of what we're going to try and drive here as a culture.
And finally, Pete, I want to get you out on this. When I look around the King Center, there's a lot of graduates of Emory and Henry College, but there's also a lot of people that have really bought into Emory and Henry that have come here from other institutions. When I look at the Hansen family, I see a couple of folks that have bought into the Emory and Henry lifestyle. What is it for you and Sarah that Emory and Henry has kind of become? What does it really kind of mean to you at this point?
It's definitely a family place for us. I mean, there's times that, we spend all day there and then some, because with Sarah being the cheer and dance head coach, it really is a family event all the time. When I was coaching football, she was coaching the cheerleaders. So where were the kids? They were there with us. They're on the sidelines, doing what they do. It has really become a family place. And, and it really kind of started back even before I came here, a graduate of here, I used to coach with, and when he would talk about it, I'd go, "What is this place?" It just sounds so awesome. I want to experience it, but I didn't realize that I was actually going to get to coach here until 3 years after I left him. So really that is, it's kind of special to get here and go, "Oh, I see it." The light bulb kind of went off, and it really kind of takes you showing up and being here and being around everybody, the professors, their support of athletics, the president's support, it's just kind of, I feel like you're kind of in the twilight zone sometimes, but in a good way, that everybody here, everybody's supportive. If your kid needs help, academically, there's resources to go get it done. It's not like, I felt like sometimes as a coach at other places, it was all on me to do it. And here it's not. I have so many people willing to help out. So many, the cafeteria willing to help us do things that we need to do, to, keeping kids here when they're having troubles at home, all that kind of stuff, where it's really one big family. And then the alumni, we have 0 wrestling alumni, but we still have people that donate to us already. And to have that is, shows the family that Emory is.
Well, I think tremendous success requires tremendous coaching and tremendous mentorship, and I think that the wrestling program is well suited to have all of those. So I'm excited to get into the competition, Pete, and thanks so much for joining us.
No problem.